The orbital hub of Kepler-9 never truly slept. It breathed through vents and conduits, and it sang with the noise of 100 species living too close together. Clicks, whistles, harmonics, tones no human would ever call music. Most humans did not last a week. NORA had lasted 3 years. She was not a diplomat, not an officer, not important enough for a window. She was maintenance. The kind of worker everyone ignored until something broke, and then everyone blamed. Her quarters were a narrow cube near the waste reclaim corridor, where the air always smelled faintly of disinfectant and warm metal. Station administrators offered her a better room closer to the residential decks. NORA refused. Isolation was easier. Quiet was rare. Fewer neighbors meant fewer questions. Today had been brutal. 12 hours crawling through access shafts barely wider than her shoulders. Cleaning oxidation burns the exoskeleton crews could not reach. Replacing microfilters with numb fingers while coolant mist clung to her hair and gloves. Her muscles ached. Her hands smelled like metal and solvent. Her stomach growled like it was offended. The food dispenser blinked in the corner. Nutrition packet ready. NORA stared at it. No, she muttered. She opened the sealed container hidden behind her toolcase and pulled out her real treasure. Not credits. Not weapons. Ingredients. Chicken. Vacuum sealed. Plain broth concentrate. A small bag of rice. And a tight bundle of herbs she kept for herself, because cooking was the closest thing she had to home. Cooking was her rebellion. Cooking was her anchor. She set a portable pan on the heating plate. The coil glowed dull red. The air warmed. Then she did something she had learned the hard way on Kepler-9. She made 2 meals. One for herself. One that was safe. Because the station's ARK deck existed, even if most of the galaxy pretended it did not. A quiet section where humans housed Earth rescues. Animals recovered from damaged colony transports, illegal cages, and failed research programs. Earth animals that nobody else understood. Tiny lives that humans refused to abandon. And ARK deck rules were strict. Some human foods were not safe for animals. Some smells were too strong. Some ingredients could hurt small bodies. So NORA cooked smart. She started her own meal in one pan, just a little. Enough scent to lift her mood. She kept the garlic and spices for herself. Then she turned to the second pot. Plain broth. Warm. Simple. Shredded chicken, slow-cooked until soft.
No garlic. No onion. No salt. No danger.
The smell still rose. Real. Rich. Human. It filled the cube in seconds and slipped into the vent seams like a secret. NORA closed her eyes for one steady breath. For a moment, she was not on a station. For a moment, she was in a small kitchen on Earth where the world felt safe, and nothing had to be optimized. Her stomach growled again. Now that, she said quietly, is real food. She did not notice the door sensor activate. The first warning came as a sound so small she almost missed it. A soft huff. Then another. Then a tiny, impatient rumble, like a baby engine trying to start. NORA turned. 3 lion cubs stood in her doorway. Earth lion cubs. Small. Fluffy. Golden fur with faint spots that would fade as they grew. Oversized paws. Bright eyes that looked too curious for a place made of metal. They were young. Still baby-round. Still soft in the face. But they were also wild. Even small, they carried a seriousness in their posture. A confidence that did not come from training. It came from nature. And in front of each cub sat a bowl. Not station-issued. Not uniform. Little bowls, mismatched and clearly borrowed. One was a polished ration cup. One looked like a cut-down maintenance cap flipped upside down. One was a ceramic dish painted with clumsy paw prints. They were not begging. They were presenting. The smallest cub stepped forward and nudged its bowl across the threshold, then sat down as if it had been taught manners by a strict elder. It blinked at Nora like it had delivered a formal speech. Nora stared. "You have got to be kidding me," she whispered. The second cub lifted its bowl with both paws. It wobbled, then steadied itself, proud of the effort. The third cub did not move at all. It sat in a perfect guard posture, eyes locked on the pot, tail still. Its ears twitched once. It was watching everything. Nora glanced down the corridor.
No handlers.
No ARC staff.
No drones.
Just 3 lion cubs who had somehow tracked her down in the least friendly section of the station, carrying bowls like they were on a mission. "How did you even find me?" Nora asked. The smallest cub sniffed the air dramatically, then sneezed. It looked offended by its own sneeze. It sat straighter, as if trying to regain dignity. Nora noticed their fur. Not just color, but condition. One cub had a thin patch near its shoulder, healing. Another had dull edges to its coat, the look of poor sleep. The third had tired eyes, the kind you saw in newborns who learned too fast that the world could be cold. They were hungry. Not just for calories. For comfort. For warmth. For something that felt like before. Nora swallowed. "Okay," she said softly. "Listen. Human food can hurt you. I am not giving you garlic. I am not giving you spice. I am not giving you anything that will make you sick." The cubs stared, unblinking. Then the smallest one pushed the bowl forward again. Slow. Patient. Certain. Not a demand. A request. A trust. That trust hit Nora harder than a station alarm. She exhaled. "Fine," she said. "But you are eating the safe pot, and you will act like polite little lions." The cubs did something that made her pause. They sat straighter, as if they understood the word polite. Nora opened the door wider. They padded in like the room belonged to them. The third cub walked directly to the warmest spot near the vent, then turned and sat facing the doorway. Guarding. Not the food. Her. Nora stared at it. "You are on security duty," she said. The cub blinked once. It did not deny it. Nora moved carefully. Lion cubs were cute, yes. Lion cubs were also strong. She did not want chaos in a maintenance corridor. She ladled warm broth into the first bowl. Added shredded chicken. Let it cool. Then she placed the bowl on the floor. "Slow," she told them. "It is hot." The cubs leaned in, sniffed, and did something that made her chest tighten. They waited. They did not fight. They did not rush. They waited like they trusted the food would not vanish. Nora filled the other bowls the same way. "Okay," she said. "Now." They ate. Not like monsters. Not like weapons. Like babies who had finally been answered. The smallest cub took one bite and froze. Its eyes widened. Its ears perked. Then it made a tiny sound that was dangerously close to a purr. The second cub made a soft, happy rumble, then kept eating with total focus. The third cub ate slower, deliberate, as if it was trying to memorize the taste. The room filled with small chewing sounds and low baby rumbles that vibrated through the floor. Nora sat on the edge of her bunk with her own plate, but she barely ate. Watching them fed something in her that nutrient packets never touched. When the bowls were half empty, the smallest cub looked up at her with broth on its whiskers. It stood on its front paws and lifted the bowl slightly, like it was offering it back. Then it nudged it toward her. A clear message. Again. Nora laughed once, short and surprised. "You are bold," she said. The cub blinked like it agreed. The second cub finished, then pushed its bowl forward with both paws, careful and neat. The third cub cleaned its bowl slowly, then returned to its guard posture, eyes on Nora, tail still. It did not ask. It waited. Nora set her own plate down. She wiped her hands and reached out carefully. She scratched behind the third cub's ear. For half a second, nothing happened. Then the cub melted. Not a little. Completely. Its whole body sagged in relief like it had been holding itself together with stubbornness. A tiny rumble vibrated through its chest. Content. Safe. Nora did not speak for a moment. Then she nodded. Yeah, she whispered. Safe. When the bowls were empty, the cubs did something strange. They cleaned them. Not with tongues alone. With attention. With care. Then they stood and walked to the door as if they had a schedule. The smallest cub paused on the threshold and looked back at Nora. For a second, it looked older than it was. Not because it was big. Because it had learned what hunger felt like. And what relief felt like. Then it padded out. The other two followed. Nora closed the door slowly and leaned against it. Her stomach was only half full. Her heart felt overfull. She turned back to the pot. Then to the ingredient stash. Then to the 3 bowls sitting on her floor like a promise. Her tablet chimed. 1 message. Then another. Then 5 more. Arc deck requests. Juvenile enrichment. And beneath it, a messy unofficial add-on. Human cook again. We bring bowls. Nora stared. Then she laughed, softer this time. Of course, she whispered. She opened a supply request. Real ingredients. The expensive ones. The safe ones. Chicken. Broth. Rice. Pumpkin puree. Tomorrow, she would cook for 10. Next week, maybe 20. And she would teach the ARC staff the one thing the galaxy still did not understand. Humans did not just make food. Humans made belonging. The door sensor activated again. Nora turned. The smallest lion cub stood there. Bowl raised. Proud. Like a tiny king making a royal demand. Nora shook her head, smiling so hard it hurt. Yeah, she said. I figured. She set the pot back on the heat. And Kepler 9, a station that never slept, learned a new rhythm. Not alarms. Not schedules. Just the quiet sound of small paws coming home. The next morning, the corridor outside Nora's door was not empty. It was lined with bowls. And this time, the lion cubs had brought friends. If this story hit your heart, subscribe to HFY Survival Arena for more cub stories and human moments that feel like home. Hit subscribe now, because the next episode comes with bigger bowls and louder rumbles.